Salutations, people of the internet, welcome to the database. For the first season throughout the summer, I covered the Genesis era of Sonic games. In season 2, I covered Kirby games, and now in this season, it makes sense that I would cover my third top favorite platforming franchise in the gaming industry, Super Mario. For this year, all summer long, I'll be covering as many Mario games as I can, and maybe throw in some surprises along the way. The last time I covered a 2D Mario game was with the original Super Mario Bros. On the NES. It was here that I also covered its pain in the ass sequel that tries to be hard, but for the wrong reasons. But did you know there were two versions of Super Mario Bros. 2? The one that I covered in that video was known as the Lost Levels, but it's actually known as Super Mario Bros. 2 over in Japan. But the version of Mario 2 that we got over here in the US is a reskin of a game exclusive to Japan. The Super Mario Bros. 2 here in the US is based on the Japanese exclusive game Doki Doki Panic, a game that shared the same levels and enemies from one another. The only reason why we were given this Doki Doki reskin was because the Lost Levels game was too difficult for Western audiences. Well gee, I wonder why. While it may be a reskin of a different game, this game helped introduce some of the characters that will become staples in the Mario universe, from your Shy Guy to your promiscuous Birdo, who may or may not be a lady guy. That's pretty much it for its game's backstory, aside from a drastic change in gameplay style compared to its predecessor and successor games. But was this alternative change necessary to keep the popularity of Mario going? Well, what do you think? This is the American version of Super Mario Bros. 2 Doki Doki Panic. Not much of a story in this game. In fact, getting this over with, if you're a 2D Mario game, don't expect to have a grand story at all, as most of the 2D Mario games are fun platformers in its purest form. Running, jumping, and coin collecting are some of the fundamentals of a 2D Mario game. As for Mario 2's story, let's just say that Mario falls down a door into a world of Subcon, and goes and stops this giant frog named Wart, King Wart, who's also the main villain of the original Doki Doki Panic. And as a villain, he's pretty forgettable because he only appears in this one game and nowhere else. After beating the evil frog of Wartwood, after beating the King Wart of Frogs, our heroes would wake up from a dreamland of Subcon. As it turns out that their whole adventure took place in a dream sequence, meaning that none of the stuff we've been through ever happened. This is gonna be a short video, I know it. As a Mario game, this game feels very different from all the rest, as none of the elements in this game translate from future Mario titles. Like, instead of side-scrolling side to side to kick off your adventure, you're instead falling off from the sky.
This looks neat. I wonder.
To attack enemies rather than jumping on their head, you carry them and throw them at other enemies. But if you come across an enemy you can't carry, you have these turnips of different sizes. Some have faces on them. You can enter jars as if they were warp pipes, some even containing keys in order to progress, while you have these masks that chase after you. And sometimes you can pull freaking bombs on the ground that immediately detonate, and potions that lead you to shadow realms that give you coins and one-ups. Okay, so the fact that this game being a dream kinda makes sense when I say that. What do these coins do anyway? Well, you can use these coins to earn extra lives. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I really don't know what you guys want me to say about this game. The best part that I do like in Super Mario Bros. 2 is that you can switch between characters after completing a level. That way you're not stuck with one character after beating the final boss. If you think Luigi and his jump height is good for one particular level, nothing's stopping you from changing as him. If you want to play it safe, not risking to fall into any bottomless pit, switch to Peach. It's a small detail, but it's something that I really appreciate. So, my quick and final conclusion to Super Mario Bros. 2, aka the reskin of Doki Doki Panic, is a C. a very forgettable entry when it comes to all the other 2D Super Mario Bros. Platforms. And it's why in the next 2D Mario game, they went back to what worked before, just adding in new features and such, making Super Mario Bros. 3 the true successor of the 1985 classic. The only positive I can say when it comes to the game are the unique gameplay styles of all 4 playable characters. The fact that Nintendo can distinguish our cast of characters by just giving each of them unique traits to make them stand out is genius. Mario being the all-arounder, Luigi having traction but great height, Peach can float in midair, and Toad being the fastest among all of them. And it's the same kind of traits that we would see later in future Mario platformers. So I'm a bit disappointed when it comes to Super Mario Bros. 2, but that just means I'm more excited to talk about Super Mario Bros. 3 when I review that game next. And yes, reviewing all these classic platformers will make sense in a bit. So what are your thoughts on Super Mario Bros. 2, the United States edition? Did you enjoy the game as much as I have? Let me know in the comments. And no, I don't feel like looking over the 16-bit version of the game from the Super Mario Bros. All-Stars collection on the Super Nintendo. That game really wasn't it for me. I'm Christopher James, and I'll see you guys next time. Salutation, people of the internet, welcome to the database, and welcome back to the Super Mario Summertime Marathon, where I discuss anything Mario related for the entire summer. The last Mario game I covered was a wreck for me. It was a kind of game that I had no interest in because it didn't feel like a traditional 2D Mario platformer. If you see my last video, I mentioned that what makes a good Mario platformer, in my experience, comes down to the 3 things: level design, the use of power-ups, and moveset, and progression. Hold on, that's 4 things. And it's why I have higher hopes when it comes to the actual proper sequel to the traditional Super Mario Bros. Platformer, Super Mario Bros. 3. And unlike Super Mario Bros. 2 USA, I actually have a cartridge copy of the game right here. Though for the sake of the video quality, I'll be capturing footage off the NES Switch online service. And I may sometimes switch from that version to the 16-bit version off the Super Nintendo service through its compilation package, Super Mario Bros. All-Stars. It's the same game but with better graphics. Here's a fun side note. Did you know that there is a Super Mario animated series made in the 90s? There is actually 3 animated series. The first one titled the Super Mario Bros. Super Show that featured these live-action segments starring the pro wrestling manager Captain Lou Albano.
Do you know someone that owns a gun or a knife? Remember, guns and knives aren't toys. They can hurt people or even kill them.
The other 2 are titled after the original video games, titled The Adventures of Super Mario Bros. 3 and Super Mario World, the latter having a catchy theme song that I personally have a guilty pleasure for. All of these shows were made by Deke Entertainment, a studio that made some of my childhood shows, from Inspector Gadget, the Sonic animated series, Gadget Boy, and Heathcliff.
No one should terrify their neighborhood, but Heathcliff just won't be undone, playing pranks on everyone.
What do all of this have to do with this video's review, aside from its animated series counterparts? I just thought it would be a fun idea to share my nostalgia for a bit. So let's get back on track by reviewing Super Mario Bros. 3. So it's the usual stuff for Mario here. Bowser kidnaps Peach, Mario must go and save her. However, in this game, Bowser decides to bring along some of his kids for some extra mayhem. Don't ask me who the mother in all this is. These are the Koopa kids, and there are 7 of them, which fits perfectly with the 8-world format for many Mario platformers, as each one of the kids serve as a boss at the end of it. Wonder if I could list their names. Let's see, we have Wendy O, Larry, Iggy, Morton, Roy, Ludwig, Von Koopa, and Lemmy. Almost forgot the last one. Aside from kidnapping Peach in each of the worlds, it turns out that the Koopa kids have turned their kings of each world into different animals. This is done thanks to the magical rods that each kid possesses that grants them unique abilities, a power source that will become part of their staple in many Mario games. After turning all the kings back to normal, each of them give Mario a letter sent from the princess that describes some of the game's hints and tips for your adventures. I never bother reading any of them really. Also to point out that each of the worlds you progress through have unique themes to them, as listed in the credits of the game. There's your standard grass world along with desert, water, sky, giant, my favorite world of the bunch, pipe, and the final world where you meet Bowser, the Darklands. Yada yada yada, a few obstacles in the Darklands later, you meet Bowser in what's probably the easiest final boss fight in Mario history. You make him break the platform you stand on to make him fall. What an idiot. Oh, and you save the princess after she decides to wake up and choose trolling for a bit.
Gotcha, bitch!
What I love about Super Mario Bros. 3 is that it feels like a genuine evolution of the 2D Mario platformer, keeping in touch as to what makes Mario platformers popular to begin with, while adding in new elements that would become staples in that formula. Example here. When you first boot up the game, you're greeted with an overview map of the current world you're in, with each world having unique themes to stand out, similar to the new Super Mario Bros. Series of games. While each map hosts multiple amount of stages, it breaks the repetitive pace a bit with extra stuff to do, from earning extra power-ups and 1-ups to battling the group of Hammer Brothers that block your path. Sometimes you come across places where you play a quick game of slots for extra lives or a memory matching game. Christ, I can't talk today. Every now and then you come across a mushroom house that has a toad inside. That toad here gives you 3 treasure chests that gift you a randomly generated power-up for your adventure. Finally, you got your fortresses and castles. These serve as the mid-level and end-level bosses. Mid-level boss fights are centered around you navigating a castle-like maze and encountering Boom Boom. And I'm not gonna lie, he's pretty pathetically easy for a boss. It's so easy to time your hops over his head, even if you have a power-up or if he ends up flying with your wings somehow. End-level boss fights will feature one of the 7 Koopalings, where you have to navigate through an auto-scrolling section through an airship. If you somehow fail the airship stage, the airship will leave the castle and you have to go around the map and find it. While you could play all the stages that each world has to offer, there are also these pipes that provide you little shortcuts to make your progression a little faster. Sometimes you'll even find yourself a flute item in secret areas. One use out of this and you'll hear a familiar tune as a tornado carries you to a warp zone. This game really likes to shower you with 1-ups, like at every end of the stage your goalpost is a roulette, where if you match 3 of the same image, that's a 1-up. Secret areas have a 1-up, there are tons of coins to collect, and you'll never run empty on power-ups after losing a life. Power-ups are a new element that was given a change from the first game to this one. Along with the Super Mushroom, Fire Flower, and Starman returning from the first game, we got new power-ups from the Frog Suit that lets you swim faster, a Hammer Bros suit which is very rare to come across, and the signature power-up from this game, the Super Leaf. The Super Leaf breaks some of the game's stage design, as it grants you the ability to fly and glide across hazards and gaps for a short period amount of time. And if you manage to run at high speeds after filling up your P meter, you can soar into the sky and find hidden areas a normal jump can't do. There are other variants of Super Leafs in this game, from a P-Wing which grants you full-time flying access for the whole stage, and the Tanuki suit, which is the same as the Super Leaf but lets you turn into stone. I barely use this ability. Oh yeah, this game introduces the P-switches that turn coins into blocks and vice versa. And it's not just Mario and his power-ups that get something new. it's the enemies as well. We got your Paragoombas with wings, Piranha Plants that shoot fireballs, Pogies make their return from Super Mario Bros. 2 USA, there's the fire sprites and jumping blocks that you see in a desert world, not to mention this damn sun that looks so pissed off at Mario for some reason, and it just charges at you at any given moment. Is this Mario becoming political about global warming or something? Super Mario Bros. 3 gets the A rank. This is a great follow-up to the original Super Mario Bros. Formula, and it feels like a nice step in the right direction, unlike my experience revisiting Mario 2 Doki Doki Panic. While the controls aren't perfect yet, it still feels like a traditional Mario platformer, which is all I ask for. Also, I do kinda appreciate playing this game on the Switch's emulator, because realizing that you have to finish this game in one setting for the NES version and play the beginning of the world you saved on for the Super Nintendo version feels like a friggin' nightmare of me pulling my hair out. So is it cheating that I'm using an emulator? I don't know. But I have the original copy of the game, so who cares? Can I talk about the Super Mario Bros. Cartoon again real quick? These are just fever dreams of programming they decide to make. And I own rare-ass DVDs of the Super Mario cartoon, from the Super Show, Adventures of Mario 3, and Super Mario World. Though they may be expensive now, I managed to get these from DVD bargain bins for $5 a pop. And after rewatching these DVDs, this has got to be the most corniest shit I ever seen. You can find all of them online on YouTube. On the plus side, or maybe downside, I don't know, it didn't have those PSAs starring Captain Lou Albano in his Mario outfit.
You knew it was stolen. I hope you'd say no, because if you accept stolen property, the law says you're just as guilty as the one who stole it. If you went for a ride in a stolen car or damaged something that was stolen, you'd be responsible too. So be smart. Say no to stealing.
First of all, this is one of, or probably the only place where you get to hear Mario, Luigi, Peach, Toad, and Bowser speak full sentences. The Koopa Kids speak full sentences too, and were given unique yet cardboard one-dimensional personalities to make them stand out. And in the Mario 3 cartoon, you see the Mario cast explore around Brooklyn, which, yeah, that's where Mario and Luigi are from, but even so, they still look out of place compared to the other human characters. Yoshi speaks in this too, in the Super Mario World cartoons, and...
Yoshi think Luigi, mama!
Anyways, though the Koopa Kids have been annoying to deal with, as they always appear in many Mario games throughout the 2010s, their first appearance here is actually quite tolerable. As you can see, they're easy to beat in the game, and you don't see them again until the next Mario game, which is what I'll be covering next for this summer marathon. We're finally gonna jump to the Super Nintendo as we explore the world of dinosaurs in Super Mario World. I'm Christopher James, and I'll see you next time. Salutations, people of the internet, welcome to the database. After reviewing Super Mario Bros. 3 last video, I'm feeling pretty confident on looking over the next Mario game. For some reason, I have 2 copies of this game. I think one was originally my older brother's, while the other copy was probably from my dad. Now you know where my love for gaming came from. Serving as a launch title game for the newly released Super Nintendo in 1991, Super Mario World promised to bring a bit more new into the Mario platforming experience. And by a bit more new, I mean that 16 times over.
Mario World, created especially for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. It's a bit more exciting, a bit more challenging, a bit more graphic, a bit more colorful, a bit more realistic, a bit more levels, a bit more secret, a bit more enemies, a bit more friends, a bit more sound, a bit hotter, a bit cooler, a bit weird.
Much like Mario 3, Mario World introduced more elements that would become staples in the Mario platformer series, from branching pathways to hidden secrets galore. Here's to note, this would end up being the last original Mario platformer game to be released until 2006. That means between this game and New Super Mario Bros. On the Nintendo DS, there would be a 15-year gap of no new Mario platformers. Instead, in its place are several re-releases of their already existing games onto future handhelds and home consoles. I mentioned the Super Mario All-Stars collection last video. This was a collection found on the Super Nintendo, where you can play the first original game and the US releases of 2 and 3, along with the Japanese version of Mario 2 titled The Lost Levels. And if you are lucky, there are some copies out there that let you play Super Mario World with it. Other re-releases before 2006 came in the form of the Super Mario Bros. Deluxe on the Game Boy Color, which has the original game and Lost Levels now with Screen Crunch. The original game can also be played on the NES Classic Collection on the Game Boy Advance, also crunched. And then there was the Super Mario Advance series. Games that take Super Mario Bros. 2, 3, and World and compress them on the Game Boy Advance. Do not get me started on these games' naming convention. There's also a part of the Super Nintendo's Yoshi's Island game, which for some reason is also part of the GBA Advance series. So what's the difference between the Super Nintendo original and the GBA version of Super Mario World? I don't know. Other than you can play a version of the NES Mario Bros. Arcade game to waste your time. Speaking of, let's not waste any time and take a trip to the land of dinosaurs in Super Mario World. The story begins when Mario, Luigi, and the princess setting off for a vacation in the land of dinosaurs, home of the island of Yoshi's. Yes, this game marks the debut of the multicolored dinosaurs. Although this game features 4 different colors of them: red, green, yellow, and blue. They also don't poop out eggs and use them as ammunition as they're mostly known for. Instead, in this game, they can only eat certain small enemies and hop over spiky hazards most of the time. Christ, these dinos feel so primitive here. Aside from that, it's the same as always, with Bowser kidnapping Peach and the Mario brothers saving her. The Koopalings from Mario 3 make their return, and as for mid-level boss fights, rather than the returning Boom Boom, in comes the debut of Reznor, a group of Triceratops where Mario has to defeat them on a rotating Ferris wheel. These Triceratops won't make another appearance in a Mario game until New Super Mario Bros. 2 on the 3DS. Another thing that makes its debut in this game are the Boo Houses. These would also become staples in many Mario platformers, where these serve as mazes that could lead to either the main goalpost, this time being a towering tape line you see in Field and Tracks, or it could lead to many alternative paths this game offers. The goalposts for this game reward players with star points that leads to a bonus game of matching icons for 1-ups. Alternative paths are also a thing that will become a staple in Mario platformers. In this game's case, it was required for the optional 100% completion. These reward players with either a quicker path to the final fight against Bowser's, rooms that activate color-coded switches that unlock different secrets and courses, and some alternative paths will lead to the secret special world in a game known as Star Road. Star Road is the best place to go to for shortcuts and is home to some of the most challenging courses in the game. For those stages, rather than heading to the goalpost, unlocking different Star Road teleporters required players to find a key and keyhole, which is something you'll come across in the normal courses for its share of secrets. After unlocking all the teleporters in Star Road, you'll unlock the last teleporter that leads to a set of special courses, all of which are named after the most 90s catchphrases that ever 90s. From your radical to tubular. Don't let these corny 90s catchphrases fool you, as these are the hardest stages in the game. Though completing these courses only rewards players with a different aesthetic change, so nothing really special there. What I found interesting about this game is that there are several power-ups that are missing from the previous game, but there are also new power-ups that are exclusive here. The Super Mushroom, Fire Flower, and Starman return as tradition, but in comes a pea balloon that turns Mario into, you guessed it, a floaty balloon. Sometimes rather than getting a 1-up mushroom, this game introduces 3-up moons that just reward players with 3 1-ups. Yoshi stars also have different power-up-like attributes if you still have them. These range from the different color Koopa shells a Yoshi eats. Green shells let Yoshi spit them out as normal, red shells turn into 3 fireball projectiles, and blue shells give Yoshi the ability to fly. Sometimes you can find a pair of Yoshi wings that leads to special stages filled with coins and Yoshi tokens. These tokens aren't anything like the star coins in the new Super Mario Bros. Series, as they only give players a 1-up for finding all 5 in a stage and are not required for 100% completion. Finally, there is one more power-up that serves as a poster selling point of this game, the Cape Feather. For those who've seen my Sonic Mania review, you could say that it operates the same as Ray the Flying Squirrel's gliding ability. But for those who haven't seen that video, you can use this to glide in mid-air after gathering enough ground speed and jumping afterwards. Then controlling the Cape Feather is as easy as using the left and right buttons on the D-pad. Though sadly, with the Cape Feather being the only new power-up in the game, that means there are only 4 power-ups in this game instead. I guess making up for the small amount of power-ups, this game introduced players with the ability to store a power-up as an emergency resource. These get dispersed whenever you get hit, but you can dispense them at any time by pressing the select button. Out of all the Mario games I covered on this channel, this is probably the best Mario has ever felt when platforming. He can run and jump like always, but there is something about the physics here on the Super Nintendo that makes the platforming feel controlled, as if the weight of Mario doesn't feel as slippery as the original or Mario 3, but not Luigi levels of slippery, if you know what I mean. Other than that, this game gives Mario the ability to break blocks below him with a spin and I don't know, that's it. I do like the fact that after completing the first area of Yoshi's Island, a lot of the game's locations are named after food stuff. You got your Donut Plains, Vanilla Dome, and Chocolate Island, except for the Forest of Illusion, that's not food related. Ah shit, I'm hungry now. I'm giving Super Mario World the same as Super Mario Bros. 3, which is an A rank. It delivers the same level of fun quality as Mario 3, while also establishing elements that will become a running theme for future Mario platformers. From your branching pathways that lead to secrets, to the special worlds that contain extra courses that you can play after beating Bowser. Speaking of Bowser, what about the final boss fight? It's easy like many of the bosses in Mario games, but I kinda have a loving soft spot for this one. What helps with this final fight against Bowser is the atmosphere. We're at the top of Bowser's castle. Thunderstorms and lightning strikes are heard and seen in the background as Bowser descends down in what would later become his son's Bowser Jr.'s signature vehicle, the Clown Car, a contraption with a huge eerie smile that can also frown in anger. This is where most of your movesets get tested, as you need to spin on top of the cannonballs launched at you and throw back these Mecha Cooper Bowser sends below. If things do end up getting rough, Peach will pop up and offer you a mushroom, which I find pretty neat. I really do like this boss fight. I wouldn't say the same about the Koopalings and Resnar, as those fights were pathetic. Other than that, Super Mario World was a bit more fun than Super Mario Bros. 3. Being one of the launching titles for the Super Nintendo, it uses its color palette to its fullest extent. A lot of the different locations in this game pop out with many bright colors and different variations. The castle stages feature elements exclusive to them, like the climbable crates. The music changes whether if you have Yoshi or not. And need I mention the hidden secrets you can find in the stages? Sorry, but I'm just the kind of gamer who loves finding hidden routes and secrets in platformers. And Super Mario World rewards you with finding these secrets perfectly. Like the switch rooms, for example. Finding these secrets reward players with different benefits that would help them with their progression, like how switch rooms activate these newly colored blocks that serve as platforms, leading to secrets or basic item blocks, or secrets that will lead to more levels unlocked. It's very satisfying, and it's the best way to cap off the original Mario platformers run until the big return in 2006. So what do you think of Super Mario World? Have you found all the secrets in the game has to offer? What's your favorite color of Yoshi? Let me know in the comments. Next time on the Super Mario Summertime Marathon, I want to jump forward in the Mario platformer lineup as I take a look at the latest Mario platformer in the series, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Why am I skipping a new Super Mario Bros. Series? I'd rather save them for another time. I'm Christopher James, and I'll see you next time. Salutations, people of the internet. Welcome to the database. Let's get this out of the way. The new Super Mario Bros. Series is pretty bland. Not that any of the games are bad really, they just don't provide anything new, exciting, or groundbreaking. When new Super Mario Bros. Came out on the DS in 2006, it was exciting back then because it was the first new 2D Mario platformer since 1991. And when Nintendo released new Super Mario Bros. Wii on the Wii, it was the first new 2D Mario platformer on home consoles. But the stigma behind the new Soup series started to show its cracks when Nintendo released New Super Mario Bros. 2 on the Nintendo 3DS. Aside from the game's main gimmick of coin collecting, it's the same set of Mario worlds we seen 2 games ago. The Koopa Kids are the main bosses of each world again, and many of the level designs are practically already done in other platformers. New Super Mario Bros. U on the Wii U and its deluxe port on the Switch didn't save the series that much either. Cool, you gave us a new power-up in the form of a flying squirrel. You made Nabbit playable. You made Toadette playable in the deluxe port, and she can transform into Peach. Get that shit out of my face. The only good thing that came out of this series was the release of New Super Luigi U, a DLC side game that stars Luigi and his unique physics in small by challenging platforming segments. That was a huge breath of fresh air to the formula, but they were still tired of this new soup aesthetic. So yeah, that's why I decided to skip the new Super Mario Bros. Series of games, because they're not worth the effort of making a video on each one of them. Maybe in the future, but I need something new, something that is good evolutionary step in the Mario platformer genre.
Onward and upward.
Oh hello. Released very late in the Nintendo Switch's life cycle in 2023, Super Mario Bros. Wonder is the new and latest 2D Mario platformer in the franchise, bringing in all new elements to the table while also bringing back familiar faces as playable characters. Are there new power-ups? Yep. Are there new gimmicks to play around with? Yep. And are there new level designs we haven't seen before?
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Let's not waste any time on this intro. This is the new Super Mario Bros. Wonder on the Switch. Our story begins with our Mushroom Kingdom heroes gathering to celebrate with their neighbors of the Flower Kingdom, led by their prince, Prince Florian. He shows our heroes their power source of the Wonder Flower, the flower that has the ability to warp reality. Bowser takes interest in this flower and steals it for himself, using the Wonder Flower to merge himself with Prince Florian's castle. So it's up to Mario and his friends to stop Bowser from taking over the Flower Kingdom. And yes, you're seeing the character selection screen perfectly, as this game has the largest amount of playable characters in a 2D Mario platformer. You got Yoshi dinosaurs of different colors, Nabbit and Toadette from the new Soup U Deluxe are playable, and for the first time in a Mario platformer, you can play as Princess Daisy, alongside Peach as well. Princess Daisy made her debut on the handheld Mario platformer, Super Mario Land, the princess of the game's location, Sarasa Land. In order to reach Bowser, Mario and his friends must free the Flower Kingdom civilians known as Poplins. These Poplins were imprisoned by Bowser and his forces and are holders of the 6 Royal Seeds. These Royal Seeds are needed to destroy the Cloud Piranhas protecting Castle Bowser, and are needed to access the final stage. Once you beat Bowser and his forces, including the returning Bowser Jr. and Kamek, the Mario heroes save the Flower Kingdom, ending Super Mario Bros. Wonder in celebration. Mario heroes. So what's the Flower Kingdom like? Well, for stages, it's actually quite different compared to the usual Mario theme affair. Sure, you got your grasslands, deserts, and water themed stages, but then you have themes that are a mix of one another, like the second world of the game, Fluff Puff Peaks, a mix between your ice and sky themed worlds from the previous Mario platformers. The desert stage in this game is actually a dessert themed stage that will make Homer Simpson drool.
Really, the only word for it is...
Each world holds several regular platforming stages, where the main objective is to find all the Wonder Seeds before reaching the goalpost. The most interesting part of the course now is that there are no score tallies this time around, nor is there a certain time limit. That means you can spend as much time as you want in each course, finding all 3 giant purple coins and all the Wonder Seeds, without the timer running out. Although for a game released in 2023, this game still relies on a live counter and game over screens. Seems unnecessary, especially when you maxed out your live counter. Most of the Wonder Seeds you get are given to you by the Poplins after completing the course, while other Wonder Seeds appear when you touch a Wonder Flower. These Wonder Flowers create different changes to the stage design, called a Wonder Effect. These effects can range from Mario heroes transforming into different shapes and forms, like a balloon, a spike ball, or a Goomba, while other changes relate to the gimmick of the course, like the stampede of the Triceratops bison's breeds called bull rushes. And let's not forget the stages that show off the game's music, like these singing piranha plants in the second course of the whole game, to a stage where the main focus is to time your jumps to the beat of the rhythm. These type of stages are really fun, and it is so satisfying to time your jumps in succession. Oh look, the ninjas from Super Mario Bros. 2 USA. Outside of the main platforming course, there are other places where you can find more Wonder Seeds to collect. These come in these smaller sized courses that don't have a Wonder Flower attached to them. Usually, there are these search parties where you sit in a secluded location and have to look at every nook and cranny for these Wonder Tokens. Wiggler races where you race against a giant Wiggler on roller skates and come in first. KO arenas where you must defeat all the enemies in an area. And then there are these badge challenges that test your skills and knowledge of using a variety of badge that this game has to offer. Badges operate differently among every other Mario game, and we'll get to you soon. But to focus on this game, badges serve as equipable power-ups that provide different benefits. Action badges are colored orange and give our Mario heroes one additional ability, from a dolphin kick that lets you swim faster underwater, to my favorite ability of the bunch, turning your cap into a parachute that lets you glide slowly. Blue badges serves as boost badges that gives our heroes miscellaneous benefits that are not tied to their controls, from starting a course off with a specific power-up you want to being able to bounce out of hazardous pits like lava and poison. We'll get to the new power-ups in this game in a bit. For now, let's wrap up the badge lineup with the expert badges. These badges change your gameplay experience entirely, from turning invisible to bouncing for the entirety of the course. As of writing, I'm still working on getting a last badge of the game, and that's tied behind the very last course of the game, one that's even somehow harder than Galaxy 2's Perfect Run. Jesus. Can I mention the parachute cap again? As this ability may feel familiar to the Tanuki suit from Mario 3, or the Peachette and Flying Squirrel forms from New Suit Deluxe. I wanted to say that because it's the best way for me to transition into the new power-ups exclusive to this game. The Super Mushroom, Fire Flower, and Starman make their return along with the 1-Up Mushrooms, and in its place are only 3 new power-ups, giving this game's total of 6 power-ups to play around with. First is the Bubble Flower, that kinda operates like the Blue Baby Yoshi from New Soup Deluxe, where you can blow bubbles into your path to trap enemies and create platforms to bounce on. The Drill Mushroom lets you drill underground and on certain ceilings to reach hidden areas, and even attack enemies from below. This feels way faster compared to the drill item seen in Galaxy 2. Finally, it's the new poster power-up for this game, the Elephant Fruit. This fruit turns our heroes into chunky elephants that can break blocks in front of them, use their trunks as a close-up attack, and if they have water in their trunks, spray water all around because why the hell not? It's adorable. These power-ups are fine, but it's not as cool as a Tanuki or Cape Feather from previous titles. Sometimes you might come across these standee signs during your playthrough of a course. These are placed by other players online that may or may not help you on your adventures. When passing by a standee, and if you end up dying near one, you can use that standee as a saving point when you're a ghost. Sometimes these standees are helpful when fighting hidden blocks locked behind specific characters, usually containing power-ups. Where do you get these standees? Well, remember when I mentioned each stage having 3 purple coins that are worth 10 coins? Well, you can spend some of your purple coins at these Poplin stands. Here you can spend your in-game currency on either boost badge, extra 1-ups, or stands for specific characters. It's like RNG microtransactions, but at least you don't need actual money for it. Anyway, I don't think I have all the footage for all the playable characters in this game, but for the characters I normally play, they all feel great. In fact, they feel like they all play the same. Of course, you got Mario still being the all-arounder from all of his games. Luigi doesn't seem to have his traction and height jump. Both Princess Peach and Princess Daisy can't float in mid-air, akin to Princess Peach's gameplay in Super Mario Bros. 2. I mean, it makes sense, seeing as that's now tied to a badge ability, kinda. Both Buckenberry and a la Gold Toads are now separately selectable, and Toadette is given the same level of difficulty as the others, but they don't have the Toad's signature speed, so most of these characters are just aesthetic. See, in New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, you sometimes notice that the yellow Toad and Toadette are only seen in the character select screen. To get to the blue Toad, you have to hold down one of the shoulder buttons, and Toadette in the game is treated as the easy mode of the game, where players get an extra 100 seconds for each course, and if they play in jet form, they get an extra jump to hop out of bottomless pits and other hazards. Plus in New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, they all have their signature traits. Mario the All-Arounder and Luigi get his little traction and height. But here, in the Mario Wonder, Toadette gets the same treatment as everyone else, and vice versa. Like, I'm not complaining that if everybody feels like the same, but what happened? The Yoshi dinosaurs and Nabbits are the only ones who can't use different power-ups that the plumbers, the princesses, and the toads can't use. Nor can they ever take damage when in any of these courses. So this time around, these two are the easy modes of this game. But fear not, the Yoshi dinosaurs and Nabbits can still use any of the badges you equip before entering the course, and they could still die from other environmental hazards and get squashed. What do I mean about the badges? Example here. If you like to stay up in the mid-air for a long period of time, use Yoshi's flutter jump and equip that with the parachute cap, and voila. The Yoshis can eat enemies but can't turn them into eggs and use them as ammunition like in the Yoshi Island games. I might have to cover those in the future. You might have noticed that some of the stages are labeled with star ratings in each of them. These are there to indicate the level of difficulty a stage may have. From my experience, the courses with 1 to 3 stars are a breeze to go through. Stars rated 4 to 5 might require some level of precision platforming, but are easy to nab everything in one go if you know what you're doing. with 4-star rated courses being relegated to badge challenges and wonder effect heavy sequences, while 5-star rated courses, the highest difficulty rating in the game, are mostly seen in the secret special world after beating Bowser, Bowser's final stage also being 5 stars. This time around, Bowser's final fight is similar to all the rhythm stages that you have played in the game so far. In different areas of the world map, you'll find teleporters that lead to the secret world filled with extra difficult courses. While all the courses seem to reuse ideas from the main campaign, these are adjusted to challenge you, and they are a great test to your platforming abilities, as well as your knowledge of what types of badge to use. Of course, as of this video, I still have yet to complete the final course of the game that'll give me a 100% completion, because this course alone will test your skills and knowledge of all the badges in the game. All the badges are used to the fullest extent here in this final course, and it's a stage like this that makes me wonder why bother having a life counter in the first place. You could use the Yoshi dinosaurs or Nabbit to make your progress a bit easier, but I feel like the stage is designed for the Plumbers, Princess, and Toad characters in mind. If you can do this stage very easily, more power to you, especially if you manage to obtain all 3 giant purple coins in one run and no damage is taken. Let me pause as I put it on gray. Future me, as of writing, I did complete the course, and all you get for it is a badge that changes the sound effects to acapella. That's it, and it took me almost a year after the game's launch to do so take that what's worth. No joke, I'm actually giving Super Mario Bros. Wonder the S rank, the first 2D Mario platformer to receive this ranking, if not the first Mario game ever to receive this ranking. This was such a fun game to binge through, and this was something the new Super Mario Bros. Series was missing, and something Nintendo was looking for in the next step for the Mario franchise. I really enjoy that there are plenty of playable characters this time around, as this was an easy implementation to have players play as their favorite Mario characters. My favorites, if you were wondering, are Luigi, Daisy, Blue Toad, and Light Blue Yoshi. And yes, I did notice a voice change on Mario and Luigi, not having Charles Martinet this time around. And I gotta say, the new voices for these two are pretty spot on. You might have noticed I have been omitting a certain character in the game, and you probably noticed them throughout the game in all the clips I use. Well, let me give them a proper introduction.
Float while in midair.
These are known as talking flowers, and these little critters love to comment over stuff that are happening during your adventures. Sometimes they provide tips to secret areas, while other times they cheer you on as you push forward. And personally, I really like the talking flowers in this game. They are so adorable, and they give some of the best liners at right situations.
You can't hold him. I warn you.
There is an option in the game settings to mute them, but why would you want to do that when you can have moments like this?
Whoa, careful. This place is intense. You're me? Nah, it's gotta be you.
Because these guys give life to your playthrough. In a franchise where the main cast of characters are practically mutes with one-liners and sounds, the talking flowers are like us, the players, commenting over every occurrences, obstacles, and challenges each course offers. I really hope to see these guys again in future Mario games. While the power-ups are a hit and miss, it really makes up for the variety of badges you can mix around with. These badges encourage players to see which ones are best for a certain stage, and gives open opportunities to find all the hidden secrets and alternative paths to that goal. And some badges provide an easier experience that doesn't feel like hand-holding. Rather, they feel like a neat extension to Mario's Heroes moveset. If they want to have this badge for their moveset, and if they know how to use them as much as you like. I really hope Nintendo decides to do a spiritual sequel that carries over the gameplay ideas Super Mario Bros. Wonder offers. as there is limitless potential to the new badge system for Mario platformers, and the badges provide a new level of stage design not seen in other Mario platformers. But for now, the best we could do is, well, wonder. What are your thoughts on Super Mario Bros. Wonder? Do you like the talking flowers? What's your favorite badge in the game? Let me know in the comments. Tune in a few weeks from now where we close off the Super Mario Summertime Marathon. The summer is almost over, but the Mario is still going. And instead of platformers, I want to tackle what would be my first RPG review on this channel, as I look at Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. I'm Christopher James, and I'll see you next time. Salutations, people of the internet. Welcome to the database, and welcome to the continuation of this year's Super Mario Summertime Marathon. And wanna know why I've been spacing out my uploads as of lately? This 30+ hour long RPG game was why. Blame Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. Released in 2004 on the GameCube, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door serves as a sequel title to the original Paper Mario game released on the N64. Personally, I never played the first Paper Mario game, nor do I have any interest in checking it out anytime soon, because what Thousand Year Door, or TTYD, does as a sequel improves upon Paper Mario 64's layout and gameplay philosophy a lot better. From its cast of party members you can recruit on your team that have rich backstories and layers, to its engaging battle mechanics, and in the HD remake's case, better traveling options. Yes, just to clarify, I have played the original TTYD game on the GameCube several times in the past, and I enjoy that too. But all the footage you'll be seeing in this video will be from the HD remake off the Nintendo Switch, as not only does this game look nicer on the Switch, but it contains features not present in the original. Brand new content, secrets, and whatnot. But hey, better to have this game purchasable at $60 than buying the original GameCube game off oh good lord. Let's travel down to Rogueport and uncover the ancient treasure below the surface. Discover what's behind the Thousand Year Door in this beloved Mario RPG of the ages. This is a sequel people have been waiting for, celebrating its 20th anniversary. It's Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. Our journey starts with Princess Peach taking a vacation at Rogueport, where she was given a treasure map by a mysterious hooded figure. Over at the Mushroom Kingdom, at Mario's house, Luigi announces they receive a message from Princess Peach to learn more about the treasure themselves. So our plumber brothers set sail to Rogueport, where they spotted a huge commotion between a pink Goomba named Goombella and the army of X-Nauts, the main villains of the game. After Mario saves Goombella from the X-Nauts, Goombella thanks Mario and they team up alongside Professor Frankly to learn more about Peach's treasure map. Frankly tells us that in order to find the legendary treasure foretold in their map, they need to open the ancient Thousand-Year Door by finding the 7 crystal stars. At each time, Mario stands on top of the Thousand-Year Door pedestal, different locations to where the crystal stars are located open up. Their first adventure of the first crystal star kicks off at Petalburg, where we come across Koops, who wishes to find his missing father, who went off to face Hooktail at the ominous castle. Petalburg being a great tutorial chapter with easy to approach enemies with simple exploration. And it gives a nice variety of special events, from a quiz show hosted by Thwomp to beating Hooktail with the power of frogs. God damn it. The second chapter is where our heroes encounter some more of our villains that would play a key role in the game. From the Shadow Sirens that features a poor Vivian taking verbal beatings from her older sister Beldam, to the returning X-Nauts who are also in a race of finding the crystal stars. It's here where we encounter Madame Flurry, an inspiring actress who has cloud breasts and blows, and the species of ponies that reside in the Bogley Wood Tree. We even guide the species of pony through the chapter in this Pikmin-like scenario, leading to the ponies entering in an army battle against their rival species, the Jabbies. I love this small bit in the story where we recruit a baby Jabby who would join the pony army, and if you don't happen to find this little guy, you're a monster. The third chapter of TTYD is a personal favorite of mine, as Mario and company take to the skies and arrive at Glitzville, where we compete in an underground-like fighting tournament to win ourselves the third crystal star. In this corner, the great Giant Gonzalez and his sidekick, Yoshi Kid. If you wanna know, I named my green Yoshi Kid Blitztag, named after the place where he was born, and having Blitztag around is the best form of grounded fast travel in this game, alongside the room of pipes you unlock after each chapter. The Glitzville tournament starts off simple enough, going up the ranks as normal throughout the minor leagues, but it's where we enter the major leagues where things get pretty interesting. As we move up the ranks, we receive emails from a mysterious messenger. It's here where we receive our hammer upgrade. We use this to find flattened bodies of other Glitz Pit participants. At one point, we were gifted cake between two instances during the tournament. The first one is safe to eat and it restores HP, but the second cake ends up being poison, as if someone wants to get rid of us from getting the crystal star. It turns out the Glitz Pit champion Rawcock was the one who sent out the poison cake, but not the one who was giving us mysteriously threatening messages. Fast forward to the climax of this chapter, and it turns out that the Glitz Pit promoter Grubba was the one who has a real crystal star, not the one seen on our championship belt. And he's been using the star to harness more power for himself and extracting power from other competitors. We beat Macho Grubba, and it turns out Jolene was the one who sent us those emails and needed our help stopping Grubba and freeing her little brother, the original Glitz Pit champion Prince Mush. I made 3 paragraphs of this one chapter in my script. That's how much I love this chapter. In between each chapter, we're given side stories of the perspectives of Princess Peach and Bowser, who will later intercept with Mario throughout the adventure. In Peach's story, she develops a bond with an X-Naut AI computer named Tech, as she shows and teaches Tech the meaning of love and the natural development of care for another person. It's a story that seems creepy on paper, but actually becomes one of the more wholesome and emotional story beats in the game. This side story also breaks up the repetitiveness a bit, from having Peach disguise and turn invisible to learning more about the X-Nauts and their leader Grotus's plans, later delivering those information to Mario through Tech. In Bowser's story, his perspective is more of a comedic relief character, as he's not necessarily the main villain of the story. He and Kami Kamek follow Mario into Rogueport, as they are also on a race to find the crystal stars and get the legendary treasure for themselves. He breaks away from the turn-based RPG gameplay in favor of a traditional Mario side-scrolling platformer. All of his stages only last 1 to 2 minutes apiece. I love this one part of the story where Bowser spots Princess Peach, only to find out that it was a poster of Peach owned by this Koopa simp in Petalburg. Funny stuff, I know. Continuing on the main story, I wasn't looking forward to revisiting TTYD's Twilight Town, as that chapter made the game's backtracking problems infamous around this point. When we arrive here, we notice some of its residents have been transformed into pigs, so we head on forward to the haunted mansion where we meet the ghostly caper responsible for this mess. We beat him for the crystal star, but in a twist, Mario turned out to be transformed into a shadow. There is also where we recruit the beloved Vivian to our party, after being berated by Beldum for messing up their plans on taking down Mario again. So remember the backtracking problem I mentioned earlier? Well, after recruiting Vivian back at town, we have to travel back to the mansion, use her ability to slip past walls within the well area to find a missing letter that we need to head back to town to use to type out the name of our ghostly doppelganger and chase him back to the mansion. Christ. Thank God for this green pipe shortcut that was added in the remake. Also, yes, I'm aware of the transgender representation Vivian holds, and regardless of her gender, I still love her anyways. Let's not get political in the comments. Chapter 5 is another favorite of mine, mostly the moment that establishes Admiral Bobbery as a character. He's a retired sailor who lost his will to pursue his dreams after the passing of his loved one, and the only way to convince him to join in on our journey to the next crystal star is to give him a letter that was written by his past lover, giving him the will to move forward in his life. And away we sail to Keyhole Key Island. We crash land on the island where we settled camp while looking for Admiral Bobbery, who ambushed by fiery enemies. One back and forth session of giving Bobbery some discount Coca-Cola and permission to use the skull gem later, we explore the caverns that lead to Cortez and his ship filled with treasure and the next crystal star. And he's personally one of my favorite boss fights in the game, as he constantly changes up his attack method each time you defeat him, not to mention his kick-ass boss music in the background. Why yes, there are X-Nauts that infiltrated our ship, why'd you ask? Love this cutscene of the two pirate ships attacking though. Chapter 6 takes up aboard on the XS Express, setting a course to our next destination to the next crystal star at Poshley Heights. This chapter is an interesting one, as you barely get to do any turn-based combat for most of it. Rather, the only time you get to do some RPGing is the halfway point of the train stop to lower the bridge, which leads to a boss fight that has little to no build-up whatsoever. Instead, you go around the XS Express solving mysteries to pass time, and doing small favors for other passengers, from finding a particular item they lost to greeting a toad ghost that no one questions about. We reach the location of the final crystal star located within the X-Nauts stronghold on the moon. But first, in order for our heroes to get to the moon, they need to find this gold bomb for the D to use the special cannon.
To the moon!
And, in one of the most infamous moments in the game, finding General White across most of the places we've been through, meaning more of that goddamn backtracking. Now, you may be wondering, if the final crystal star is within the X-Nauts stronghold, that means Mario can also rescue Peach there too, right? Well, unfortunately, before the start of the chapter, Grottos and the X-Nauts moved Peach somewhere else, knowing that Mario would go there for the crystal star. Instead, we encounter Crump for the third time in the story, in this improved version of the Von Grapple mech we've seen in chapter 2. With all the crystal stars in the possession, Mario and company encounter Tech, who uses the remainder of his power to power up a teleporter that sends them back to Rogueport. This explains how the X-Nauts manages to invade our heroes wherever we go. And what an emotional way for Tech to go out on, after a massive character development during its bond with Peach. We arrive at the final chapter of the game. Professor Frankly warned us that Grottos and the X-Nauts have arrived to the Thousand-Year Door. After a few areas filled with challenges and a boss fight against the Shadow Sirens later, we reach Grottos as he revealed that he let Mario and company gather the crystal stars on purpose in order to open the Thousand-Year Door and awaken the Shadow Queen. And it was Beldum that disguised herself as Professor Frankly, as she was the one who gave Peach the mysterious treasure map from the beginning. Beldam also revealed that she used Brodus and the Exnard army to her advantage, used as a puppet to get the crystal stars and awaken their queen. The Shadow Queen awakens and possesses the body of Princess Peach as his host. The first part of the battle is scripted, as you can only damage her for a bit, until you have no choice but to take damage and watch a cutscene that shows all the other supporting characters from all the previous chapters awakening the power of friendship. Lol. Why yes, I am rushing through the final act of the story to get to the gameplay. I'm glad you noticed. Anyways, with the power of the crystal stars awakened, the Shadow Queen becomes vulnerable, giving Mario and his party to fight back against the Shadow Queen. After things go back to normal, Mario and Peach said their goodbyes to their friends they made across Rogueport, leaving to the ship they came in, reflecting on their adventures. Mario retells his adventure to Luigi, which leads to Toadsworth and Peach finding a new treasure map, ending the main story of Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. Finally, with the story summary complete, I can talk about the real meat of the game. Don't get me wrong, the story of Paper Mario TTYD is amazing, but the gameplay makes the adventure even better. I guess we can start with the different party members that would join you as you progress the story. The first to be recruited, Goombella. She's basically the intel girl of your party, giving you information on what to do next in your story, details of certain areas of the map in different locations, and the most important part, providing catalogs of different enemies you encounter. Again, I haven't played the original N64 game of Paper Mario, so I don't know any of its similarities between the two, but basically, titles give you information regarding your enemy's stats, how much damage they attack dish out, how strong are their defense, and any other weaknesses and attack style quirks. What I mean by attack style quirks is that each enemy type has their own tell on how they'll attack you, and this game gives you the opportunity to counteract, whether it's guarding by pressing the A button or counteracting with the B button and giving the enemy extra damage. Some enemies you can only attack them using a hammer, while other flying enemies can only be attacked with a boot. And some of the enemies require the use of your items. Before getting into the other party members of the game, I want to talk about the combat system, since I've been going into detail about them already. So the battle starts with your party and the enemy team on a stage play. This is done because the game introduces the audience as a gameplay mechanic that affects your battle. By performing your command moves in succession, you'll earn stars for your star power meter, or SP, from all the crystal stars you've collected. The larger your audience, the more stars you'll earn. Gathering a large audience requires appealing to the crowd by performing moves, timing your stylish commands, or simply using the appeal command. In normal battle, Mario always goes first. However, you can switch to your partner character going first at any time with a button. Mario's set of moves consists of different jumps and hammer swings he can do, both of which will later be upgraded to stronger versions through story progression. Your partner character can also do attack commands unique to them, but both of them can use items during their respective turns. Most of the time, you're most likely to use items that replenish your health, HP, or flower point, FP. FP being reserved for special moves that come from leveling up your equipment, partner rank, or badges. Oh my god, I haven't gotten to the other party members yet. Okay, real quick. Badges, unlike Super Mario Bros. Wonder from the previous video, operate as giving your party certain stat boosts and additional flower power moves for Mario and Co to use. There are badges where you can increase your max HP and FP count, 2 badges that increase your defense and damage output. We got badges that also boost and improve the stats of your partner character. Of course, for me, I prefer equipping badges that boost my offense and defense stats, but one of my favorite badges in the newest version of TTYD is a nostalgia badge that gives the game the original soundtrack from the original GameCube game. So now that's out of the way, the other party members. we got Koops, a nervously shy Koopa that tries his best in tough situations. In his chapter, he joins Mario to find his missing father at Hooktail's castle. In gameplay, he's the best for attacking enemies at far distances, to nabbing items from large gaps, and hitting switches while you navigate at the right spots. And in battle, you can summon this giant Koopa shell for your own protection. Madame Flurry is next, as you recruit her in Chapter 2, Bogley Woods. She's a cloud who's a former actress, and you can use her wind ability to uncover hidden secrets. Don't ask me why this cloud has boobies. Next to Yoshi Kid, that you get to name at Glitzville. And as referred earlier, I'll be calling this Yoshi Kid Blitztag going forward. Blitztag can throw eggs like other Yoshis, and to call herd of all Yoshi dinosaurs in the world. Across the main map, you can use your Yoshi Kid to flutter jump across platforms, and he's the best form of fast travel, along with the warp pipes in Rogueport. And here's what I found interesting about Blitztag, as you can get different colors of your Yoshi Kid depending on your length of playtime, depending on how long you play a portion of the Glitzpit tournament. From getting the Yoshi egg from this piggy chef to reaching the halfway point of the tournament, you can get over 9 different colors of Yoshi to choose from. That's really cool. Next is Vivian, and to ensure I won't get cancelled by the headache-inducing PC woke culture,
We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here.
I'll refer to Vivian by the she/her pronouns for this video. You got it? Cool. Transgender representation aside, she's probably one of my favorite characters in the game. Her characterization in Chapter 4 is probably where she shines most, as poor Vivian was treated nothing but horribly by her sisters. As for her moveset, she can burn enemies upon command succession, and she can veil you into the floor for safety precautions. Admiral Bombery is the last party member you recruit story-wise, and the second to the last party member overall. He's a bomb, so of course his moveset is mostly explosive. He can blow up cracked walls to reveal secrets. He can send preset bombs towards enemies that detonate after a few turns, and he's the only party member that dishes out the most damage output. The only optional party member you could recruit is Miss Mouse. Using her is kinda forgettable, as you mostly use her to steal items and badges from enemies. She appears in the story a few times, seen stealing several badges, and you can recruit her by doing her trouble request that asks you to retrieve a badge from her that's hidden in Hooktail's castle. Trouble requests, or simply known as troubles, are essentially this game's idea of different side quests for your main journey. Troubles are unlocked in sets as you clear a chapter, and these troubles are from all the NPC characters across Rogueport and all the previous locations you visited. Doing all the troubles in the game reward players with extra goodies, from earning coins to other benefits to aid your journey, from membership cards to unlock different minigames, to giving the chef toad named Zesty a recipe book that lets you create different food items. Minigames are spotted on the left side of Rogueport, inside the Pianta Parlor. It's here where you can get special Pianta tokens that you can spend on special items you can't get behind regular item or badge shops. You can use slot machines to match icons for tokens, sure, but there are 3 different minigames you can choose from to make your token earning process a bit faster. These minigames rely on the 3 of Mario's paper abilities gifted or cursed by the entity in the black box. These abilities include turning into a paper airplane, into a paper boat, and into a tube that squeezes through small areas. Going back to the Zesty lady, you can say she's Nintendo's early example of what a Karen looks like. She won't let you pass the left side of Rogueport because you, from no fault of your own, broke her contact lens. So in order to unlock the ability to cook stuff, you need to order her new contact lens at the item shop and wait a few chapters later to do so. Anyways, once you unlock Zesty's kitchen, this is where the real magic begins. Sure, you have your mushrooms and honey syrups to replenish your HP and FP, but experimenting with your inventory will give you different benefits for your battle. It may not be accurate, but I recommend going through the Super Mario Wiki to see what kind of item ingredients you want to mix and match, as there are over 58 food recipes for you to discover, all with different attributes. These items can replenish your HP and FP in huge chunks a mushroom and syrup can't, while you can make items that affect your battle experience, from being frozen, falling asleep, or increasing your stats temporarily. You could do that, but in my playthrough experience, that's what the crystal stars are for. You can use Sweet Treat and Sweet Fest to replenish your HP and FP and cure any side effects. You can use Earth Tremor to take out small enemies with small health. Showstopper can do the same, save for bosses and enemies with larger HP, but that's where moves like Art Attack and Supernova are for. But my favorite crystal stars had to go with the Gold Star and Emerald Star. Gold Star can boost your offense and defense stats for multiple turns, while the Emerald Star clocks out immobilizes enemies for several turns too. The way you play your RPG experience feels endless, and its abilities are the easiest to understand for newcomers. I think I covered everything in the game, so what happens after you beat the Shadow Queen and complete all the troubles? Extra post-game content, that's what. There are the 100 pit trials where you play through 100 enemy battles, all leading to 2 different end bosses for the 100th round. The first time through your 100 trials, and if you're playing on the GameCube original, you face Bonetail, the eldest dragon of Hooktail and Gloomtail from the final chapter. Bonetail is the second strongest enemy in the game with the largest stats. Beating Bonetail rewards you with a badge that sends the damage output back to the enemies. Now for the new content, only seeing the HD Switch version, if you decide to go through the 100 pit trials for a second time, you'll come across a creature in the Paper Mario games known as a Wacka. Wackas are blue moles in the Paper Mario series where if you whack them on the head, they give you a Wacka bump that replenishes a huge chunk of your HP and FP. But here, these little critters is actually a boss fight, where those same Wacka bumps are used as ammunition that deals a hell of a lot of damage. So I recommend counter guarding. Beating the little guy rewards you with a golden Wacka bump that doesn't replenishes your health. Moving on, the other hidden character in the game is Prince Mush. So remember back in chapter 3 of the Glitzville chapter, where you helped Jolene save her brother Prince Mush from Grubba, and it turns out that Prince Mush was the original champion of Glitzpit? Yeah, he shows off why he was that in this fight, and Christ, he seems harder than Bonetail. He likes to change his stance to dodge your jumps and hammer swings, and after reducing his health halfway, he charges up as he was a Super Saiyan, and doing this just straight up destroys your HP, where simple guarding isn't an option. Please practice on doing counter guarding during your main playthrough of the game. It'll really save your life. So I believe I covered as much of the game as I could, but if I did miss any aspects of the game, just let me know in the comments. With that said, my final ranking for Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door is an A rank. It's not a perfect RPG game, but I can definitely see this as someone's first RPG overall. A lot of Mario RPG spin-offs ensure that their turn-based games are beginner friendly with its mechanics and understanding of how RPG games work. It's the best starting point so that players can branch out into more complex RPG titles. As for Paper Mario TTYD itself, it's a really great RPG with an amazing cast of likable characters with great unique backstories. And the combat is the most entertaining and engaging. Reminds me of the times where I played the Mario and Luigi RPGs. Yes, growing up, I played the Mario and Luigi before Paper Mario. The command sequences for your attacks keeps the flow of the turn-based gameplay active, and succeeding their respective inputs is very satisfying, and it's fun to experiment and see which partner character is suited for different enemies. My only reason as to why this game gets an A rank and not an S rank is a progression of getting to different areas in a chapter, but the game gives you different shortcuts to make your journey faster. There is a huge chunk of the game where you still need to backtrack. Oh my god, the backtracking in TTYD is kinda annoying. I really don't want to remind you viewers with Chapter 7 and its general white sequence, but there was backtracking involved in these flower enemies in Twilight Town. Doing the trouble side missions while going through the main story didn't help when recording, although that last part was my fault. The backtracking in the first chapter of the game is alright. The third chapter could feel repetitive. God forbid having to go through each room inside the Access Express. You're lucky if you have to go through a chapter that is linear with plenty of enemies to fight, and it's perfect if you're trying to constantly level up Mario by earning star points. Collecting 100 star points can boost up your HP and FP count and boost the amount of badges you can equip. I recommend the last one. This feels like a simple to understand leveling up mechanic for newcomers of RPG games, and I welcome that. I also want to applaud Nintendo and its developers Intelligent Systems for its soundtrack. Yes, the same Intelligent Systems that worked on the Fire Emblem series, especially when it comes to the new arrangement remake tracks from the Switch version. I love both original and remix versions of Rogueport. The battle music is a bop, and Cortex's battle music is particularly why I like Cortez in the game. Though I'm not a fan of Goodsville's remix music track, I'm glad that this game gives you the option to turn on the original OST as a badge item. And I can't forget Macho Grubba's theme too. Speaking of the Switch version, there are tons of changes in the version compared to the GameCube original. Save blocks are faster here, you can tattle enemy stats during your turn. I already mentioned the different warp types, and there are skippable cutscenes for the most part. If you haven't played this game yet, I recommend trying out the new Switch version, as that version brings a whole new life into a game that is now 20 years old. Christ. And how fitting that the Switch version was released this year. Happy 20th anniversary indeed. So what do you think of Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door? What was your favorite chapter and your favorite partner in the game? Have you beaten the likes of Prince Mush and the 100 Pit Trials? Let me know in the comments. I'm Christopher James, and I would like to thank you guys for tuning in to the 2024 Super Mario Summertime Marathon. This was a very fun yet interesting summer marathon, and I do enjoy making these videos for your entertainment. So comment below what other games and other forms of entertainment media you want me to cover. With that said, I'll see you next time.